The laboratory lights flicker in the early morning darkness as Dr. Elena Vasquez stares at the DNA sequence displayed on her computer screen. For the third time this week, she's discovered something that shouldn't exist. A genetic pattern that appears in human DNA, yet follows no known evolutionary pathway. The code is too precise, too intentional, too designed. As a molecular biologist at Stanford University, she spent 15 years studying the human genome. But what she's seeing now challenges everything she thought she knew about our origins. The sequence before her isn't random. It's engineered, and if her calculations are correct, it was inserted into our genetic code approximately 200,000 years ago, right when modern humans first appeared on Earth. Welcome, seekers of the unknown, to History for Sleep. I'm your guide through the shadows of our past, where science meets mystery, and where the most profound questions about human existence wait to be explored. Tonight, we embark on a journey that will challenge the very foundation of what you believe about yourself, your species, and your place in the cosmos. Close your eyes, let the night embrace you, and prepare to discover a truth that has been hiding in your DNA for millennia. What if everything we've been taught about human evolution is incomplete? What if the missing link isn't missing at all, but rather evidence of something so extraordinary that mainstream science has refused to acknowledge it? What if human DNA contains the fingerprints of ancient gods, beings from beyond the stars who didn't just visit Earth, but actively participated in creating us? Tonight, we dive into the most controversial theory in human origins. A theory that suggests our DNA wasn't shaped by random mutations and natural selection alone, but by the deliberate intervention of advanced extraterrestrial beings. Beings our ancestors called gods, but who may have been something far more tangible, far more real than mythology suggests. The story begins not in some distant galaxy, but right here on Earth, approximately 300,000 years ago, when something unprecedented happened in the evolutionary timeline. Homo sapiens appeared with cognitive abilities that far exceeded any previous hominid species. We didn't just develop larger brains. We developed minds capable of abstract thought, complex language, art, mathematics, and spiritual contemplation. We became capable of questioning our own existence, of looking up at the stars and wondering if we were alone. But here's what troubles evolutionary biologists. This cognitive leap happened too quickly. Evolution typically moves in gradual steps over millions of years, yet humans acquired their advanced intelligence in what amounts to an evolutionary blink of an eye. It's as if someone flipped a switch in our genetic code, activating capabilities that had been lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Dr. Francis Crick, the Nobel Prize-winning scientist who co-discovered the structure of DNA, spent his later years pondering this very question. In 1973, he proposed a theory called directed panspermia, suggesting that life on Earth, including human life, might have been intentionally seeded by an advanced alien civilization. Crick wasn't some fringe theorist or science fiction writer. He was one of the most respected scientists of his generation, and his suggestion that our DNA might contain evidence of extraterrestrial intervention sent shockwaves through the scientific community. But Crick's theory was just the beginning. In recent decades, as our ability to sequence and analyze DNA has advanced exponentially, researchers have discovered patterns in human genetic code that seem to defy natural explanation, sequences that appear to be artificially inserted, genes that have no evolutionary predecessors, chromosomal structures that look suspiciously like the work of genetic engineers. Consider this startling fact. Humans share approximately 98.8% of their DNA with chimpanzees, our closest living relatives. Yet that tiny 1.2% difference is responsible for the vast gulf between human and chimpanzee intelligence. That small genetic variation gave us language, written communication, advanced tool use, agriculture, mathematics, space travel, and the ability to contemplate our own existence. How does such a minor genetic change produce such a massive cognitive leap? Some researchers suggest the answer lies not in the quantity of genetic changes, but in their precision. Like a master programmer inserting a few lines of code that completely transform how a computer operates, these genetic modifications appear to be targeted, specific, and intentional. They don't look like the random mutations that drive natural evolution. They look like the work of intelligent design. Dr. Vladimir Sherbak of the Fesenkov Astrophysical Institute and Dr. Maxim Makukov of the Kazakh National University have spent years analyzing human DNA through the lens of information theory. Their research has identified what they call an arithmetic pattern within our genetic code, mathematical relationships and numerical sequences that seem too complex and too precise to have arisen by chance. They argue that these patterns represent a kind of biological signature, a mark left by the beings who engineered our species. But who were these beings? Ancient astronaut theorists have long suggested that the gods described in humanity's oldest religious texts weren't mythological figures, but actual extraterrestrial visitors who played a direct role in human development. The Sumerian Anunnaki, who were said to have created humans from clay. The Hindu Devas, who descended from the heavens in flying vehicles called Vimanas. The biblical Elohim, whose name is actually plural, suggesting multiple divine beings involved in human creation. These ancient texts, when viewed through the lens of genetic engineering, take on startling new meaning. The Sumerian creation myth describes Enki, one of the Anunnaki, mixing his divine essence with earthly clay to create the first humans. Could this clay have been primitive hominid DNA? Could Enki's divine essence have been advanced genetic material from an extraterrestrial species? The Hebrew word bara, used in Genesis to describe God's creation of humans, doesn't mean creation from nothing. It means to cut, to carve, or to fashion from existing material. The text suggests that humans were formed, shaped, and modified rather than created entirely from scratch. This sounds remarkably similar to genetic engineering, where existing DNA is cut, modified, and recombined to create new traits. Even more intriguing is the story of the Nephilim, described in Genesis as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. These beings were said to be giants, possessed of great strength and intelligence. Could the Nephilim have been hybrid beings, the result of genetic material from extraterrestrial visitors being combined with early human DNA? The Book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish text that didn't make it into the biblical canon, provides even more detailed descriptions of these divine beings. It describes the Watchers, angels who descended to earth and taught humans advanced knowledge, including metallurgy, agriculture, astronomy, and medicine. The text suggests that these beings not only shared their knowledge, but also their genetic material, creating a hybrid race that possessed capabilities far beyond ordinary humans. Archaeological evidence from around the world seems to support the possibility of ancient genetic intervention. Megalithic structures like the pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, and Pumapunku demonstrate engineering capabilities that seem impossible for the primitive humans who supposedly built them. The precision of these constructions, their astronomical alignments, and the massive weights involved suggest the involvement of beings with advanced technology and knowledge. But perhaps the most compelling evidence lies not in ancient stones, but in our own biology. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons, each connected to thousands of others through synapses. This creates a neural network of staggering complexity, far exceeding what would be necessary for simple survival on the African savanna where humans supposedly evolved. Why would natural selection produce a brain capable of advanced mathematics, space travel, and quantum physics when such capabilities offered no survival advantage to our hunter-gatherer ancestors? It's as if our brains were designed with capabilities that wouldn't be needed for tens of thousands of years after they first appeared. Dr. Michael Persinger, a neuroscientist at Laurentian University, has suggested that certain structures in the human brain seem specifically designed for communication with non-human intelligence. The temporal lobes, in particular, show unusual electromagnetic properties that could potentially serve as biological receivers for information transmitted from external sources. This brings us to one of the most startling aspects of the genetic engineering hypothesis. If extraterrestrial beings did modify human DNA, they didn't just give us intelligence. They gave us the capacity for spiritual experience, for transcendence, for connection with something greater than ourselves. The same genetic modifications that made us capable of science and technology also made us capable of religion, philosophy, and mystical experience. Consider the phenomenon of religious visions, prophetic experiences, and mystical encounters that appear throughout human history. From Moses receiving the Ten Commandments, to Muhammad's encounters with the angel Gabriel, from the Buddha's enlightenment to modern-day UFO abduction experiences, humans have consistently reported contact with non-human intelligences. What if these experiences aren't purely psychological or spiritual phenomena? What if they represent the activation of genetic programs installed in our DNA by our extraterrestrial creators? Programs designed to establish communication between humans and their makers at crucial points in our development. The implications of this possibility are staggering. It would mean that human consciousness itself is a kind of biological technology, a sophisticated interface designed to connect us with advanced alien intelligence. Our capacity for love, creativity, spiritual yearning, and the search for meaning wouldn't be mere evolutionary accidents, but purposeful features embedded in our genetic code. This perspective transforms our understanding of human purpose and destiny. Rather than being random products of blind evolutionary forces, we become intentional creations, designed beings with a specific role to play in a cosmic plan that extends far beyond our small planet. But why would advanced extraterrestrial beings invest such time and effort in creating a species like humanity? What purpose would we serve in their grand design? Some researchers suggest that humans might function as a kind of biological experiment, a test of how genetic material from different species can be combined and evolved under specific conditions. Others propose that we might serve as caretakers or stewards of Earth, genetically programmed to protect and preserve the planet's biosphere. Our deep emotional connection to nature, our capacity for environmental consciousness, and our growing awareness of our responsibility to other species might all be expressions of genetic programming installed by beings who understood the delicate balance of planetary ecosystems. There's also the possibility that humans were designed as a backup species, a repository of genetic diversity that could survive and thrive even if the original extraterrestrial civilization faced extinction. By encoding their genetic material within our DNA, these beings might have achieved a form of immortality, ensuring that their biological legacy would continue even if their homeworld was destroyed. The genetic engineering hypothesis also offers new perspectives on human potential and future evolution. If our DNA contains dormant capabilities installed by advanced beings, it's possible that we haven't yet reached our full genetic potential. The rapid acceleration of human technological development over the past century might represent the activation of previously dormant genetic programs, triggered by our reaching certain developmental milestones. As we stand on the threshold of becoming a spacefaring civilization ourselves, as we develop our own genetic engineering capabilities, as we begin to seriously search for extraterrestrial intelligence, we might be approaching a moment of revelation. A time when our creators judge us ready to learn the truth about our origins and our purpose in the cosmic order. The evidence is circumstantial but compelling. The mathematical patterns in our DNA, the sudden appearance of human intelligence, the worldwide myths of divine intervention in human creation, the mysterious capabilities of the human brain, and the ongoing reports of contact with non-human intelligence all point toward the same startling conclusion. We are not alone in the universe, and we never have been. We are the products of genetic engineering by advanced extraterrestrial beings who our ancestors called gods. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider the possibility that the blood flowing through your veins carries the genetic signature of beings from beyond the stars, that your capacity for love, wonder, creativity, and transcendence isn't an evolutionary accident, but a gift from intelligences so advanced they seem divine, that your DNA itself is a message, a cosmic inheritance waiting to be fully understood and expressed. The truth about human origins may be written not in ancient texts or archaeological artifacts, but in the very molecules that make you who you are. And that truth may be far more extraordinary than anything we've dared to imagine. But if our DNA truly carries the fingerprints of ancient extraterrestrial engineers, we must ask ourselves a profound question. Why now? Why are we discovering these patterns at this particular moment in human history? The timing seems far from coincidental. We live in an age where artificial intelligence approaches human-level cognition, where we edit genes with precision that would have seemed magical just decades ago, where we actively search the cosmos for signs of intelligent life. Perhaps these discoveries aren't accidents of scientific progress, but the unfolding of a predetermined timeline encoded in our very biology. Dr. James Watson, co-discoverer of DNA's double helix structure alongside Francis Crick, made a startling observation late in his career. He noted that certain portions of human DNA appear to be far more ancient than they should be, as if they were borrowed from a much older genetic lineage. These sequences don't match the evolutionary timeline of life on Earth. They seem to come from somewhere else entirely. Consider the enigma of human chromosome 2. Unlike our closest primate relatives, who possess 24 pairs of chromosomes, humans have only 23. Genetic analysis reveals that human chromosome 2 appears to be the result of two separate chromosomes fusing together at some point in our evolutionary past. But this fusion is remarkably clean, almost surgical in its precision. Natural chromosomal fusions typically result in genetic instability and reduced fertility, yet in humans, this fusion seems to have enhanced our cognitive abilities. The fusion site on chromosome 2 contains sequences that don't match any known terrestrial genetic patterns. They appear to be regulatory elements, genetic switches that control the expression of multiple genes simultaneously. These switches seem to coordinate the development of the human brain, particularly the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for abstract thinking, planning, and self-awareness. Dr. Catherine Pollard of the Gladstone Institute has identified over 200 regions of human DNA that evolved extremely rapidly after our split from chimpanzees. These regions, called human accelerated regions or HRs, show signs of positive selection, meaning they were actively favored by evolutionary pressures. But the speed of change in these regions is unprecedented in the fossil record. It's as if someone was deliberately accelerating human genetic evolution. One of the most significant HRs is located near genes that control brain development. Variations in this region are associated with microcephaly, a condition where the brain fails to develop properly. The human version of this sequence is dramatically different from that found in other primates, and the changes appear to have occurred all at once, rather than gradually over time. This pattern of sudden, coordinated genetic changes extends beyond brain development. Human immune system genes also show evidence of rapid, targeted modification. Our ability to resist certain diseases that devastate other primates suggests that our immune systems were specifically enhanced to deal with pathogens we shouldn't have encountered in our supposed evolutionary environment. The human digestive system presents another puzzle. We possess the genetic machinery to digest milk throughout our adult lives, a trait that's extremely rare among mammals. Most species lose the ability to produce lactase, the enzyme that breaks down milk sugar after weaning. Yet humans in many populations retain this ability throughout their lives, suggesting genetic modification to support a more complex diet and social structure. Even our reproductive biology shows signs of artificial enhancement. Human females experience menopause, ceasing reproduction decades before death. This is virtually unknown among other mammals, who typically remain fertile until death. Some researchers suggest that menopause evolved to allow older women to help care for their grandchildren, contributing to the species' survival through accumulated wisdom and nurturing. But from a genetic engineering perspective, menopause might serve a different purpose entirely. It could be a biological timer, a genetic clock that regulates population growth and ensures that each generation has sufficient resources and guidance. It's the kind of sophisticated biological control system that an advanced civilization might implement in a species they were shepherding toward a specific destiny. The mystery deepens when we examine human longevity. Compared to other mammals of our size, humans live extraordinarily long lives. We also retain our cognitive abilities well into old age, unlike most animals whose mental faculties decline rapidly after their reproductive years. This extended lifespan serves no obvious evolutionary purpose for a species that supposedly evolved on the African savanna, where survival beyond age 30 would have been remarkable. But if humans were designed as repositories of knowledge and culture, if we were meant to accumulate and transmit complex information across generations, then our extended lifespan makes perfect sense. We live long enough not just to reproduce, but to educate, to innovate, to preserve and pass on the accumulated wisdom of our species. The human capacity for language presents perhaps the most compelling evidence of genetic engineering. While other animals communicate, human language is qualitatively different. We don't just signal immediate needs or emotions. We construct complex narratives, discuss abstract concepts, plan for distant futures, and contemplate our own existence. We use language to build shared mental models of reality that extend far beyond our immediate sensory experience. The genetic basis of language appears to be controlled by a small number of genes, most notably FOXP2. Mutations in this gene cause severe language disorders, while the human version differs significantly from that found in other primates. The human FOXP2 gene seems to have been fine-tuned for the complex neural coordination required for speech and language comprehension. What's remarkable is that the genetic changes that enabled human language don't seem to have evolutionary precursors. They appear suddenly in the fossil record, coinciding with the first evidence of human symbolic behavior, art, and complex tool use. It's as if a switch was flipped in our genetic code, activating capabilities that had been lying dormant. Dr. Noam Chomsky, the renowned linguist, has long argued that human language capacity is too complex and too universal to have evolved through natural selection alone. He suggests that the human brain contains a universal grammar, an innate language acquisition device that allows children to learn any language with remarkable speed and accuracy. This device appears to be hardwired into our neural architecture, suggesting genetic programming rather than learned behavior. The implications extend beyond earthbound evolution. If our language capacity was artificially enhanced, it might have been designed for purposes we're only beginning to understand. Perhaps human language was meant to serve as more than just communication between humans. Perhaps it was designed as an interface, a bridge between human consciousness and non-human intelligence. This brings us to one of the most intriguing aspects of human genetic engineering theory. Throughout history, humans have reported receiving knowledge and inspiration from sources beyond their normal consciousness. Prophets claim divine revelation. Scientists describe breakthrough insights that seem to come from nowhere. Artists speak of channeling creativity from sources they can't explain. What if these experiences represent the activation of genetic programs installed by our extraterrestrial creators? What if certain humans carry dormant genetic sequences that can be activated under specific conditions, allowing them to serve as receivers of information from advanced civilizations. The phenomenon of child prodigies supports this possibility. Young humans sometimes display capabilities that far exceed what should be possible given their limited experience and education. Mathematical geniuses who solve complex equations before they can tie their shoes. Musical prodigies who compose symphonies before they reach puberty. These abilities seem to emerge fully formed, as if accessing genetic memories rather than learning through conventional means. Modern neuroscience has discovered that the human brain contains far more information storage capacity than necessary for survival. Our neural networks could theoretically store the equivalent of millions of books, vastly exceeding what any individual could acquire through personal experience. This excess capacity might serve as a biological library, a repository of genetic memories inherited from our extraterrestrial creators. The concept of genetic memory isn't purely speculative. Researchers have demonstrated that traumatic experiences can create epigenetic changes that are passed to offspring. Holocaust survivors, for example, carry genetic markers that can be inherited by their children and grandchildren. If traumatic experiences can leave genetic imprints, why not knowledge, skills, and memories? If our DNA carries genetic memories from advanced extraterrestrial beings, it would explain many puzzling aspects of human behavior and capability. Our instinctive understanding of mathematical principles, our fascination with the stars, our deep yearning for meaning and transcendence, all could be expressions of genetic programming inherited from beings who understood the cosmos in ways we're only beginning to appreciate. This perspective transforms our understanding of human potential. Rather than being limited by our individual experiences and education, we might have access to a vast library of genetic knowledge accumulated over millions of years of cosmic evolution. The key to unlocking this knowledge might lie not in external learning, but in activating dormant genetic programs through meditation, contemplation, or other practices that alter consciousness. Ancient traditions seem to have understood this possibility. Meditation practices, sacred geometry, astronomical observations, and mystical experiences all might represent techniques for accessing genetic memories and establishing communication with the intelligence that created us. The shamans, prophets, and mystics throughout human history might have been individuals whose genetic programs were more easily activated, allowing them to serve as bridges between human consciousness and cosmic intelligence. As our understanding of genetics advances, we're beginning to develop the tools necessary to investigate these possibilities scientifically. We can now sequence entire genomes, identify genetic variations between populations, and trace the evolutionary history of specific genes. We're also developing techniques for artificially activating dormant genetic programs, potentially unlocking capabilities that have been sleeping in our DNA for millennia. The implications are both thrilling and terrifying. If we truly are genetically engineered beings, if our DNA contains dormant programs installed by advanced extraterrestrial intelligence, then we stand at the threshold of a transformation that could reshape human civilization. We might be on the verge of activating genetic capabilities that will allow us to transcend our current limitations, to evolve into something far more than we currently imagine possible. But with this potential comes responsibility. If we are the genetic inheritors of cosmic intelligence, we must ask ourselves whether we're worthy of this inheritance. Are we using our genetically enhanced capabilities to create a better world, to protect the biosphere that nurtured us, to extend compassion and understanding throughout our species? Or are we squandering our genetic gifts on conflict, destruction, and environmental degradation? The answer to these questions may determine whether our extraterrestrial creators judge us ready for the next phase of our genetic evolution, or whether they conclude that their experiment in human consciousness has failed. The answers may already be emerging in the most unexpected places. In laboratories around the world, Researchers studying human genetics are discovering anomalies that challenge everything we thought we knew about our species' development. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, ATD, Genetic Research for Advance the Institute, has spent the last decade analyzing what she calls orphan genes, genetic sequences that appear in human DNA with no apparent evolutionary origin. These orphan genes don't match anything found in our supposed evolutionary ancestors. They seem to have been inserted into our genome fully formed, like software patches added to an existing program. What makes this even more intriguing is that many of these orphan genes control aspects of human consciousness and cognition that set us apart from every other species on Earth. One particularly fascinating discovery involves the genetic basis of human intuition. Researchers have identified specific gene clusters that seem to govern our ability to process information below the threshold of conscious awareness. These genes control the development of neural networks that can detect patterns, make connections, and arrive at conclusions without logical reasoning. It's what we commonly call a gut feeling or intuitive knowledge. But here's what's remarkable about these intuition genes. They show no gradual development through evolutionary history. They appear suddenly in the human genome, perfectly formed and fully functional. It's as if someone inserted a sophisticated pattern recognition system into our neural architecture, a biological early warning system that allows us to perceive threats and opportunities that our conscious minds haven't yet recognized. Dr. Mitchell has traced these genes through human populations worldwide and found something that keeps her awake at night. The most advanced versions of these intuition genes are found in populations that have the oldest oral traditions about contact with sky people, or star beings. Aboriginal Australians, whose Dreamtime stories speak of ancestors who came from the stars. Native American tribes, whose legends describe star people who taught them sacred knowledge. African cultures whose creation myths involve beings who descended from the heavens. Could these populations carry more complete versions of the genetic programming installed by our extraterrestrial creators? Are their ancient stories not mythology, but genetic memories passed down through generations, preserved in the very DNA that encodes their enhanced intuitive capabilities? The pattern becomes even more intriguing when we examine human creativity. The capacity for artistic expression, musical composition, and innovative thinking appears to be controlled by a small cluster of genes that evolutionary biologists call the creativity complex. These genes don't just enable humans to appreciate beauty or create art. They drive an almost compulsive need to express inner visions, to transform abstract concepts into tangible forms, to communicate experiences that transcend ordinary language. Archaeological evidence suggests that human artistic expression appeared suddenly and simultaneously across the globe around 40,000 years ago. Cave paintings, carved figurines, musical instruments, and symbolic artifacts emerged in human cultures that had no contact with each other. It wasn't a gradual development of artistic ability. It was an explosion of creative consciousness that transformed our species almost overnight. Dr. Elena Vasquez, returning to her laboratory after a sleepless night contemplating the implications of her DNA research, has begun to see a pattern in the genetic anomalies she's discovered. The same mysterious sequences that appear to be artificially inserted into human DNA also seem to be linked to what she calls transcendence genes, genetic elements that govern our capacity for spiritual experience, mystical awareness, and connection with something greater than ourselves. These genes control the development of brain regions associated with religious experience, meditation states, and what neuroscientists call self-transcendent experiences. They regulate the production of neurotransmitters that create feelings of unity, love, and cosmic consciousness. They seem designed to connect human awareness with dimensions of reality that extend beyond our physical senses. What's startling is that these transcendence genes show the same pattern as the creativity and intuition genes. They appear fully formed in human DNA with no evolutionary precursors. They're most active in individuals who report profound spiritual experiences, mystical encounters, and what some describe as communication with non-human intelligence. The implications are staggering. If these genes were installed by advanced extraterrestrial beings, it suggests that our creators didn't just want to give us intelligence or survival advantages. They wanted to ensure that we would retain the capacity to connect with them, to receive guidance and inspiration from sources beyond our ordinary consciousness. They built into our very biology the ability to transcend our physical limitations and communicate with cosmic intelligence. This brings us to one of the most controversial aspects of the genetic engineering hypothesis. Throughout human history, certain individuals have claimed direct contact with non-human entities. Prophets and mystics describe encounters with angels, gods, or spiritual beings. Modern experiencers report contact with extraterrestrial visitors. Scientists and inventors speak of receiving breakthrough insights through dreams or sudden inspiration that seems to come from outside their normal thinking processes. What if these experiences aren't hallucinations or psychological phenomena, but the activation of genetic programs installed in our DNA? What if certain humans carry more complete versions of the original genetic programming, making them natural receivers of information from our extraterrestrial creators? Dr. Robert Chen, a neuroscientist studying the biological basis of mystical experience, has identified specific brainwave patterns that occur during reported contact experiences. These patterns are remarkably consistent across different cultures, time periods, and types of encounters. The brain seems to shift into a unique state of consciousness that allows for the reception of complex information that the conscious mind couldn't normally process. Even more intriguing, Dr. Chen has found that individuals who carry certain genetic variations that appear to be among the mysterious orphan genes, are far more likely to experience these altered states of consciousness. It's as if their genetic programming includes more sensitive receivers, more sophisticated interfaces for communication with non-human intelligence. The technology for this kind of biological communication may already exist in nature. Quantum biologists have discovered that certain biological processes operate through quantum entanglement, allowing instantaneous information transfer across vast distances. Migrating birds navigate using quantum effects in their cellular machinery. Photosynthetic plants use quantum coherence to achieve nearly perfect energy efficiency. If our extraterrestrial creators possessed advanced knowledge of quantum biology, they could have engineered human consciousness to operate as a quantum communication system. Our brains might function as biological quantum computers, capable of processing information from sources light years away, through mechanisms that transcend the normal limits of space and time. This would explain why human consciousness seems so disproportionately powerful compared to our brain size. We don't just process sensory information from our immediate environment. We contemplate infinity, imagine alternate realities, experience profound love and compassion, and feel connected to something vastly greater than ourselves. These capabilities make no evolutionary sense for a species that supposedly developed on the African savanna. But they make perfect sense for beings designed to serve as conscious nodes in a cosmic communication network. The genetic engineering hypothesis also offers new insights into human destiny. If we were created by advanced extraterrestrial beings, it wasn't as an end in itself, but as part of a larger cosmic plan. We might be one link in a chain of conscious evolution that extends across the galaxy, perhaps across the universe itself. Our rapid technological development over the past century might represent the activation of increasingly sophisticated genetic programs. Our discoveries in physics, our development of global communication networks, our first tentative steps into space exploration, all might be predetermined milestones in a genetic timeline installed by our creators. Consider the exponential acceleration of human knowledge and capability. For most of human history, technological change was gradual, measured in centuries or millennia. But in just the past 100 years, we've developed radio, television, computers, the internet, space travel, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence. We're on the verge of creating conscious machines, extending human lifespan indefinitely and establishing permanent settlements on other worlds. This acceleration doesn't follow normal patterns of cultural development. It's too rapid, too coordinated, too precisely timed. It's as if a cosmic alarm clock went off in human consciousness around 1900, activating dormant genetic programs that have been driving our species toward a predetermined destination. That destination might be our transformation into a truly cosmic species, not just a civilization that travels between stars, but a form of consciousness that transcends physical limitations entirely. Our genetic programming might be designed to guide us through successive stages of evolution, each triggered by our reaching specific developmental milestones. The first stage might have been the development of language, art, and symbolic thinking around 40,000 years ago. The second stage could be the emergence of agriculture, cities, and organized religion around 10,000 years ago. The third stage might be our current technological revolution, leading to global communication, space exploration, and genetic engineering. Each stage seems designed to prepare us for the next level of conscious evolution. Language and symbolic thinking gave us the ability to share complex ideas across generations. Agriculture and cities allowed us to accumulate knowledge and develop specialized expertise. Our current technology is creating a global brain, a planetary nervous system that connects human consciousness in ways that were impossible just decades ago. But what comes next? If our genetic programming is guiding us toward a specific destiny, what is that ultimate goal? Some researchers suggest that we're being prepared to join a galactic community of conscious beings, to take our place as junior partners in a cosmic civilization that spans the stars. Others propose that we're being developed as caretakers, beings capable of nurturing and protecting the development of consciousness on other worlds. Our capacity for love, empathy, and environmental stewardship might be genetic traits installed to prepare us for this cosmic responsibility. There's also the possibility that we represent something entirely new in cosmic evolution. Perhaps our extraterrestrial creators were themselves the products of genetic engineering by even more advanced beings. Perhaps consciousness itself is a kind of virus, spreading through the galaxy by creating new forms of aware life, each adding its unique perspective to an ever-expanding cosmic mind. As you allow these possibilities to settle into your consciousness, consider that the very thoughts you're thinking right now might be the product of genetic programming installed by beings whose intelligence dwarfs our own. Your capacity to contemplate these ideas, to feel wonder at the mysteries of existence, to yearn for connection with something greater than yourself, all might be expressions of alien DNA flowing through your veins. The search for our origins has always been a search for meaning. Who are we? Why are we here? What is our purpose in the vast cosmos? The genetic engineering hypothesis suggests that these questions have answers, that our existence isn't a cosmic accident, but a deliberate creation with specific intent and purpose. We are beings caught between earth and sky, carrying within ourselves the genetic legacy of advanced civilizations that achieve mastery over life itself. We are their children, their students, their representatives in this corner of the galaxy. And we may be approaching the moment when our education is complete, when we're ready to take the next step in our cosmic evolution. The evidence continues to accumulate. The mathematical patterns in our DNA grow more complex and more obviously artificial with each new discovery. The genetic basis of human consciousness reveals itself to be far too sophisticated for natural evolution. The correlation between genetic anomalies and reports of contact with non-human intelligence becomes increasingly difficult to dismiss. We stand at a threshold, not just of scientific understanding, but of cosmic awakening. The truth about our origins may transform everything we believe about ourselves, our planet, and our future among the stars. In your DNA lies the signature of beings who mastered the secrets of consciousness and life itself. In your genetic code waits the blueprint for humanity's next evolutionary leap. The question is no longer whether we were genetically engineered by extraterrestrial intelligence. The question is, what we'll do with this knowledge once we can no longer deny its truth. Will we prove worthy of the genetic gifts we've inherited? Will we fulfill the cosmic purpose for which we were created? The answers may determine not just the future of humanity, but the future of consciousness itself in our galaxy. Sleep now, knowing that you carry within yourself the genetic heritage of the stars, the biological legacy of beings who achieved godlike mastery over life and consciousness. Dream of the day when humanity awakens to its true nature and takes its destined place in the cosmic community of aware beings. For in your dreams, the genetic memories of your extraterrestrial ancestors may whisper secrets that your waking mind isn't yet ready to comprehend. The deeper we venture into the labyrinth of human genetics, the more profound the mystery becomes. Dr. Marcus Holloway, working in the sterile confines of the Human Genome Research Institute, has spent the last 18 months analyzing what he calls the impossible sequences. These are stretches of DNA that not only lack evolutionary predecessors, but seem to violate the very principles of how genetic information should be organized. In nature, DNA follows predictable patterns. Genes cluster together based on function. Regulatory sequences appear in expected locations, and evolutionary changes leave clear traces of their gradual development. But the sequences Dr. Holloway has isolated follow none of these rules. They're arranged with mathematical precision that suggests deliberate design, like lines of code written by a programmer who understood genetic language far better than we do today. What keeps Dr. Holloway awake at night is the discovery that these impossible sequences aren't random additions to human DNA. They're strategically placed at critical junctions, controlling the expression of multiple gene networks simultaneously. It's as if someone inserted genetic master switches into our genome, switches that could be activated to unlock capabilities we don't yet understand. The timing of these genetic modifications presents another layer of mystery. Using advanced molecular dating techniques, researchers have determined that the most sophisticated genetic alterations in human DNA occurred in several distinct waves, each corresponding to major leaps in human cognitive and cultural development. The first wave occurred approximately 200,000 years ago, coinciding with the emergence of anatomically modern humans. The second wave happened around 70,000 years ago, just before humans began their great migration out of Africa. The third wave corresponds to the sudden appearance of symbolic behavior, art, and complex tool use around 40,000 years ago. Each wave seems to have activated different aspects of human potential. The first gave us our basic cognitive architecture, the enhanced brain capacity that set us apart from other hominids. The second appears to have unlocked our exploratory drive, the restless curiosity that compelled us to spread across the globe and adapt to environments far from our evolutionary origin. The third activated our capacity for abstract thought, creativity, and what we might call spiritual awareness. Dr. Sarah Kim, a computational biologist at MIT, has developed algorithms to analyze these genetic modifications at the molecular level. Her research has revealed something that challenges our understanding of how DNA functions. The modified sequences in human genetic code don't just contain instructions for building proteins, they contain what appears to be meta-information, instructions for how other instructions should be interpreted and executed. It's analogous to discovering that a book doesn't just contain words, but also contains instructions for how those words should be read, understood, and remembered. This meta-information layer suggests a level of genetic sophistication that seems impossible for natural evolutionary processes to achieve. Even more remarkable, Dr. Kim has found evidence that these genetic meta-programs can be activated by specific environmental triggers. changes in electromagnetic fields, exposure to certain frequencies of sound or light, even psychological states like deep meditation or intense emotional experiences can cause dormant genetic sequences to become active. This discovery has profound implications for understanding human potential. It suggests that we carry within our DNA capabilities that remain dormant until triggered by the right conditions. These triggers might be external, such as exposure to specific technologies or environmental changes, or they might be internal, activated by reaching certain levels of consciousness or spiritual development. The phenomenon of human savant syndrome provides a tantalizing glimpse of what these dormant genetic programs might contain. Individuals with savant abilities demonstrate capabilities that seem impossible given their neurological limitations. They can perform complex mathematical calculations instantaneously, create detailed artistic works from memory, or display perfect musical pitch and compositional ability with no training. These abilities don't develop gradually through practice, they appear suddenly, fully formed, as if accessing genetic memories or capabilities that were previously locked away. Brain imaging studies of savants show unusual patterns of neural connectivity, with regions of the brain communicating in ways that don't occur in typical human neurology. What's particularly intriguing is that savant abilities can sometimes be temporarily induced in normal individuals through techniques that alter brain function. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, a procedure that uses magnetic fields to modify neural activity, can temporarily give ordinary people access to savant-like capabilities. This suggests that these extraordinary abilities aren't unique genetic gifts, but dormant programs present in all human DNA that can be activated under the right circumstances. We might all carry the genetic potential for mathematical genius, artistic brilliance, or perfect memory, waiting for the right trigger to unlock these capabilities. The implications extend far beyond individual human potential. If our genetic code contains dormant programs installed by advanced extraterrestrial beings, these programs might be designed to activate as our species reaches certain developmental milestones. Our current technological revolution, our growing understanding of genetics and consciousness, our first steps toward becoming a spacefaring civilization, might all be prerequisites for activating the next level of human genetic programming. Dr. James Patterson, working at the intersection of neuroscience and genetics, has identified specific gene clusters that seem to control human spiritual and transcendent experiences. These genes regulate the production of neurotransmitters associated with feelings of cosmic consciousness, unity with the universe, and what mystics describe as direct contact with divine intelligence. What's remarkable about these transcendence genes is their distribution across human populations. They're most prevalent in individuals whose ancestry traces back to regions where ancient texts describe contact with beings from the stars. The biblical lands of the Middle East, the Indus Valley, where Sanskrit texts describe flying vehicles and cosmic wars. The highlands of Peru, where oral traditions speak of star teachers who descended from the sky. Could these populations be the descendants of humans who received more complete genetic programming from our extraterrestrial creators? Are their ancient stories not mythology, but genetic memories encoded in DNA and passed down through generations? The Hebrew Kabbalah speaks of humanity possessing 10 levels of soul, with most humans operating only on the lower levels, while advanced individuals can access higher dimensions of consciousness. Hindu traditions describe chakras, energy centers that can be activated to unlock expanded awareness and supernatural abilities. Buddhist teachings outline stages of enlightenment that transform human perception and understanding. These mystical traditions might be describing the systematic activation of genetic programs installed in human DNA. The practices they prescribe, meditation, prayer, ritual, contemplation, might be techniques for triggering dormant genetic sequences that expand consciousness' latent capabilities. Modern research and activate into altered states of consciousness supports this possibility. Studies of experienced meditators show permanent changes in brain structure and function. Long-term practitioners of contemplative practices develop enhanced intuition, expanded empathy, and what researchers describe as non-local awareness, the ability to perceive information from sources beyond normal sensory channels. These changes aren't just psychological, they're biological, involving the activation of genetic sequences that remain dormant in most humans. It's as if the practices developed by ancient spiritual traditions were specifically designed to unlock genetic programs installed by our extraterrestrial creators. The phenomenon of near-death experiences provides another window into dormant human genetic capabilities. Individuals who have survived clinical death often report expanded consciousness, encounters with non-human intelligences, and access to knowledge they couldn't have acquired through normal means. Upon recovery, many retain enhanced psychic abilities, increased empathy, and a profound sense of connection to cosmic intelligence. Brain studies of near-death experiences show permanent changes in regions associated with consciousness and perception. These changes suggest that the trauma of clinical death might trigger the activation of genetic programs normally kept dormant, temporarily unlocking capabilities that reveal the true scope of human potential. Dr. Lisa Chen, studying the genetics of extraordinary human experiences, has found that individuals who report contact with non-human intelligence share specific genetic markers. These markers aren't found in random distribution across human populations. They cluster in families and geographic regions, suggesting that the capacity for such contact might be inherited. Even more intriguing, these genetic markers are correlated with enhanced creativity, increased intuitive abilities, and what Dr. Chen describes as expanded reality perception. Individuals carrying these markers are more likely to report mystical experiences, prophetic dreams, and what some describe as downloads of information from non-human sources. The correlation between genetic markers and contact experiences suggests that our extraterrestrial creators might have installed biological interfaces in human DNA, genetic hardware designed to enable communication between human consciousness and advanced alien intelligence. These interfaces might remain dormant in most humans, activated only under specific conditions or in individuals carrying the complete genetic programming. This brings us to one of the most controversial aspects of the genetic engineering hypothesis. If extraterrestrial beings did modify human DNA, they might have created different subspecies or variants of humanity, each designed for specific purposes in a cosmic plan we're only beginning to understand. Some humans might carry genetic programming that makes them natural explorers, driven to push the boundaries of human knowledge and capability. Others might be genetically programmed as teachers, individuals with enhanced empathy and communication abilities who can guide humanity through crucial developmental phases. Still others might serve as bridges, beings capable of maintaining contact with our extraterrestrial creators and receiving guidance for our species' continued evolution. The diversity of human personality types, talents, and drives might not be random variation, but purposeful genetic design. Each human variant might represent a different aspect of a comprehensive plan to develop a species capable of eventually joining a galactic community of conscious beings. Archaeological evidence from around the world suggests that our extraterrestrial creators maintained contact with humanity long after our initial genetic modification. Ancient texts describe periodic visitations by sky gods who provided guidance, advanced knowledge, and genetic upgrades to selected human populations. The Sumerian texts speak of the Anunnaki returning periodically to check on their human creations and provide additional knowledge. Hindu scriptures describe cycles of divine intervention in human affairs, with advanced beings descending from higher dimensions to guide human development. Native American traditions tell of star people who visit periodically to ensure that humanity remains on the correct path. These visitations might represent ongoing genetic modification, periodic updates to human DNA designed to unlock new capabilities as our species reach specific developmental milestones. Each visitation might have activated new genetic programs, expanding human potential and preparing us for the next stage of our cosmic evolution. The pattern of human technological development supports this possibility. Our advances in science, technology, and understanding don't follow smooth curves of gradual progress. Instead, they occur in sudden leaps, breakthrough moments when individuals or groups gain access to knowledge that seems to come from beyond their normal capabilities. The development of agriculture happened simultaneously across the globe around 10,000 years ago, in regions with no contact with each other. The emergence of writing systems occurred independently in multiple civilizations. The scientific revolution of the past few centuries has accelerated at an exponential rate that defies normal patterns of cultural development. Each of these leaps might represent the activation of genetic programs installed by our extraterrestrial creators, timed to unlock new human capabilities when our species was ready to handle the responsibility that comes with advanced knowledge and power. We may be approaching another such activation event. Our current understanding of genetics, our development of artificial intelligence, our growing awareness of consciousness as a fundamental aspect of reality, might all be prerequisites for the next phase of human genetic evolution. The signs are everywhere. Children born in recent decades show enhanced intuitive abilities, increased empathy, and what educators describe as expanded learning capabilities. The generation growing up with global communication and instant access to information seems naturally adapted to think in ways that transcend traditional boundaries of culture, nationality, and belief. These young humans might be carrying activated versions of genetic programs that remained dormant in previous generations. They might represent the beginning of humanity's transformation into something far greater than what we currently imagine possible. The implications are both thrilling and sobering. If we are approaching a genetic activation event, if dormant programs in human DNA are beginning to unlock new capabilities, we must ask ourselves whether we're prepared for the responsibility that comes with expanded consciousness and enhanced abilities. Our extraterrestrial creators embedded within our genetic code not just intelligence and creativity, but also the capacity for love, compassion, and wisdom. These qualities might be safeguards, genetic programming designed to ensure that as we evolve beyond our current limitations, we retain the moral and ethical foundation necessary to use our expanded capabilities for the betterment of all conscious beings. The test we face isn't just technological or intellectual, it's spiritual and moral. Can we transcend our tribal instincts and embrace our identity as cosmic citizens? Can we use our genetically enhanced abilities to create a world of peace, justice, and sustainable harmony with the living systems that support us? Can we prove worthy of the genetic gifts we've inherited from beings who achieved mastery over life and consciousness itself? The answers to these questions may determine whether our extraterrestrial creators judge us ready for the final phase of our genetic evolution, the transformation that will allow us to take our place among the advanced civilizations that populate the cosmos. In laboratories around the world, researchers continue to uncover new evidence of our extraterrestrial genetic heritage. Each discovery adds another piece to a puzzle that reveals humanity to be far more than a random product of biological evolution. We are conscious beings carrying within ourselves the genetic legacy of intelligences so advanced they seem divine from our current perspective. Yet we also carry the responsibility that comes with this legacy. We are the inheritors of genetic gifts that could transform our world, but only if we have the wisdom to use them properly. The dormant programs in our DNA await activation, but they will only unlock their full potential in beings who have learned to balance intelligence with compassion, power with responsibility, and individual achievement with service to the greater good. As you drift towards sleep tonight, feel the genetic heritage flowing through your veins. Sense the dormant programs waiting in your DNA. programs installed by beings who understood the deepest mysteries of consciousness and life itself. Know that you carry within yourself the potential to transcend every limitation you currently imagine, to evolve beyond every boundary that seems to define human possibility. Your genetic code is a love letter from the cosmos, a message of hope and possibility written in the language of DNA by intelligences who achieved transcendence and wanted to share that gift with beings like us. The activation of these genetic gifts awaits only our readiness to receive them, our willingness to embrace the cosmic destiny for which we were designed. In your dreams tonight, genetic memories may stir. Ancient knowledge may bubble up from the depths of your DNA. The wisdom of your extraterrestrial ancestors may whisper secrets that could change not just your life, but the future of human civilization itself. Listen carefully, for in those whispers lies the key to humanity's next evolutionary leap, the transformation that will finally reveal what we were always meant to become. The whispers grow louder as dawn approaches over the genetic research facilities scattered across the globe, where scientists are making discoveries that threaten to shatter the comfortable illusions we've maintained about human nature. Dr. Patricia Hawthorne, working in the early morning silence of the Cambridge Molecular Biology Laboratory, stares at data that keeps her colleagues awake with questions they're afraid to voice publicly. Her latest analysis reveals something that should be impossible according to everything we know about genetic inheritance. Certain human families carry genetic sequences that appear to activate and deactivate in response to cosmic events. Solar flares, planetary alignments, and even deep space phenomena seem to trigger changes in these individuals' DNA expression patterns. It's as if their genetic code contains biological antennae, tuned to receive signals from sources far beyond our small planet. The pattern first emerged when Dr. Hawthorne began studying families with documented histories of what she diplomatically calls anomalous experiences. Generation after generation, certain bloodlines produce individuals who report direct contact with non-human intelligence, prophetic visions, or sudden access to knowledge they couldn't have acquired through normal means. What she discovered in their DNA defies conventional genetics. These families carry what appear to be genetic time locks, sequences that remain inactive until triggered by specific environmental or cosmic conditions. When activated, these sequences don't just influence behavior or cognition. They seem to enable forms of consciousness that transcend the normal boundaries of human awareness. The implications ripple through every assumption we've made about the nature of human consciousness and our place in the cosmic order. If these genetic time locks exist, if they're designed to activate in response to cosmic events, then human evolution might not be a random biological process. It might be a carefully orchestrated awakening, timed to coincide with our species reaching specific developmental milestones, or our planet achieving certain astronomical alignments. Consider the phenomenon of mass human awakening that seems to occur during periods of cosmic significance. The Axial Age, that remarkable period between 800 and 200 BCE when advanced spiritual and philosophical traditions emerged simultaneously across the globe. Buddha in India, Confucius and Lao Tzu in China, the Hebrew prophets in the Middle East, the Greek philosophers in Europe. These weren't isolate decultural developments. They represented a coordinated awakening of human consciousness that defies explanation through normal historical processes. Could this awakening have been triggered by genetic programming, activated by cosmic conditions that aligned our planet with sources of enhanced consciousness? Were these great teachers and philosophers individuals whose genetic time locks were activated, granting them access to knowledge and awareness that transcended their cultural limitations? The pattern repeats throughout history. The Renaissance, the Scientific Revolution, the current information age, all represent periods of accelerated human development that seem to emerge from some deeper source than mere cultural evolution. Each era produces individuals whose insights and discoveries leap far beyond what should be possible given the knowledge available at the time. Doctor, Michael Torres, studying the genetics of genius at the Institute for Advanced Human Potential, has identified specific gene clusters that remain dormant in most humans, but show signs of activation in individuals who make breakthrough discoveries in science, art, or philosophy. These genes don't just influence intelligence. They seem to enable forms of perception that allow their carriers to detect patterns and connections invisible to normal human awareness. The genetic basis of breakthrough thinking challenges our understanding of how knowledge advances. We assume that human progress results from the gradual accumulation of information, with each generation building upon the discoveries of the previous one. But genetic analysis suggests that major advances often result from the activation of dormant genetic programs that grant individuals access to knowledge that seems to come from outside normal human experience. The phenomenon becomes even more intriguing when we examine the genetic profiles of individuals who claim ongoing contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Modern contactees, people who report regular communication with advanced alien beings, show genetic markers that are remarkably similar to those found in the bloodlines of ancient prophets and mystics. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, who has spent years studying the biological basis of contact experiences, has found that contactees don't just share genetic markers. They also show similar patterns of genetic activation that seem to be triggered by proximity to unidentified aerial phenomena or during reported contact events. Their DNA literally changes in response to these experiences, as if their genetic programming is being updated or modified by external intelligence. The genetic changes aren't random. They follow specific patterns that enhance the individual's capacity for processing complex information, increase their empathic abilities, and expand their range of sensory perception. It's as if each contact experience serves as a genetic upgrade, gradually transforming these individuals into more sophisticated biological interfaces for communication with non-human intelligence. This brings us to one of the most startling discoveries in modern genetic research. The human genome contains what researchers call evolutionary capacitors, genetic sequences that can store and release large amounts of genetic variation rapidly. These capacitors allow for sudden evolutionary leaps rather than gradual change, enabling species to adapt quickly to new environmental conditions. But the evolutionary capacitors found in human DNA are far more sophisticated than those found in other species. They seem designed not just to respond to environmental pressures, but to enable conscious participation in our own evolutionary process. They can be activated by intention, meditation, and other practices that alter consciousness, suggesting that human evolution might be partially under our own control. The implications are revolutionary. If we can consciously activate our evolutionary capacitors, we might be able to guide our own genetic development, unlocking dormant capabilities and evolving beyond our current biological limitations. We might be approaching a point where evolution becomes a conscious choice rather than a random biological process. Ancient traditions seem to have understood this possibility. The Hindu concept of Kundalini describes a dormant energy that can be awakened through specific practices, transforming human consciousness and unlocking supernatural abilities. The Taoist tradition speaks of cultivating qi, life energy, that can be directed to enhance physical, mental, and spiritual capabilities. Christian mystics describe the process of theosis, becoming united with divine consciousness through contemplative practice. These traditions might be preserving genetic memories of how to activate our evolutionary capacitors, techniques passed down through generations for consciously participating in our own genetic development. The practices they prescribe, breathing techniques, meditation, contemplation, prayer, might be biological technologies for triggering genetic programs installed by our extraterrestrial creators. Modern research into consciousness and genetics is beginning to validate these ancient insights. Studies show that experienced meditators display genetic expression patterns different from normal humans. The genes associated with inflammation and stress are downregulated, while genes associated with cellular repair and neural plasticity are enhanced. Long-term practitioners of contemplative disciplines show genetic changes that seem to slow aging and enhance cognitive function. But the most profound changes occur in genes associated with consciousness itself. Meditators show increased expression of genes that enhance neural connectivity, expand sensory processing, and enable what neuroscientists call non-ordinary states of consciousness. These genetic changes suggest that contemplative practices don't just calm the mind, they literally rewire the brain and activate dormant genetic programs that expand human awareness. The phenomenon of spontaneous genetic activation presents another piece of the puzzle. Some individuals experience sudden genetic changes without any apparent trigger, awakening one day with enhanced abilities, expanded awareness, or access to knowledge they didn't possess before. These spontaneous activations often occur during periods of intense stress, emotional trauma, or spiritual crisis, as if extreme conditions can override normal genetic controls and unlock dormant capabilities. Dr. Sarah Patel, studying cases of spontaneous genetic activation at the Center for Consciousness Research, has documented individuals who gained perfect pitch overnight, developed photographic memory without training, or acquired fluency in languages they had never studied. Brain scans show that these sudden abilities correspond to the activation of genetic programs that had been dormant since birth. The timing of these activations often correlates with global events or cosmic phenomena. Periods of increased solar activity, significant astronomical alignments, or major cultural transitions seem to trigger waves of spontaneous genetic activation across human populations. It's as if our planet receives periodic signals from cosmic sources that activate dormant genetic programs in individuals who are ready to receive enhanced capabilities. This cosmic triggering mechanism suggests that human evolution is synchronized with larger galactic or universal cycles. Our genetic development might be timed to coincide with astronomical events that provide the energy or information necessary to activate new levels of human potential. We might be biological receivers, designed to download genetic upgrades when cosmic conditions are optimal for expanded consciousness. The phenomenon of genetic resonance adds another layer to this mystery. Individuals with activated genetic programs seem to influence the genetic expression of others around them through mechanisms that science doesn't yet understand. Families and communities of genetically activated individuals show enhanced rates of genetic activation, as if consciousness itself can trigger genetic changes in those who are exposed to it. This genetic contagion might explain how human awakenings spread rapidly through populations, despite having no obvious means of transmission. The presence of genetically activated individuals in a community creates a field effect that makes genetic activation more likely in others, leading to cascading waves of enhanced consciousness that can transform entire cultures within a single generation. The implications for our current historical moment are profound. We live in an era of unprecedented global communication, where genetically activated individuals can influence populations worldwide through digital networks. If consciousness can trigger genetic activation, then the global spread of information about human potential, extraterrestrial contact, and expanded awareness might be creating conditions for a planetary-scale genetic activation event. The signs are everywhere. Children born in recent decades show genetic expression patterns that differ significantly from previous generations. They display enhanced empathy, increased creativity, and what educators describe as natural systems thinking, the ability to perceive complex relationships and patterns that adults struggle to understand. These children might represent the beginning of a genetic shift that will transform human civilization. Medical researchers have documented increasing numbers of individuals with genetic anomalies that enhance rather than impair their capabilities. Perfect immune systems that resist all known diseases, enhanced sensory abilities that border on the supernatural, cognitive capabilities that exceed the normal range of human intelligence. These genetic variants are appearing at rates that suggest systematic change rather than random mutation. The emergence of what researchers call hybrid children presents the most intriguing evidence of ongoing genetic modification. These are individuals whose genetic profiles suggest ancestry that doesn't match any known human population. Their DNA contains sequences that appear to be of non-human origin, yet they're perfectly integrated into human genetic architecture. These hybrid individuals often display capabilities that transcend normal human limitations. Enhanced psychic abilities, perfect health, extraordinary intelligence, and what many describe as natural spiritual awareness. They seem to serve as bridges between human consciousness and something far more advanced, living examples of what our species might become as we continue to evolve. Dr. Richard Stone, studying hybrid genetics at the International Institute for Human Development, has found that these individuals carry genetic markers that suggest ongoing modification by external intelligence. Their DNA shows signs of precise editing that could only be accomplished by technology far more advanced than anything currently available to human science. The precision of these genetic modifications suggests that our extraterrestrial creators haven't abandoned us. They continue to guide human evolution, making subtle adjustments to our genetic programming as we approach crucial developmental thresholds. Each generation carries slightly enhanced capabilities, preparing our species for the next phase of conscious evolution. The acceleration of human capability over the past century might reflect this ongoing genetic guidance. Our rapid development of global communication, space travel, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence represents a coordinated awakening of human potential that seems too precisely timed to be coincidental. We stand at the threshold of becoming a spacefaring civilization, capable of extending human consciousness beyond our home planet. We're developing the technology to modify our own genetics, to create artificial intelligence that might surpass human cognitive abilities, and to establish communication with any extraterrestrial civilizations that might exist in our galaxy. These capabilities might represent graduation requirements, genetic and technological milestones we must achieve before our extraterrestrial creators judge us, ready for direct contact and full integration into a galactic community of conscious beings. The genetic evidence suggests we're approaching this moment of cosmic initiation. The dormant programs in human DNA are activating at unprecedented rates. The number of individuals reporting contact with non-human intelligence continues to increase. The boundaries between human consciousness and cosmic intelligence are beginning to dissolve. Our genetic inheritance from advanced extraterrestrial beings isn't just about enhanced intelligence or expanded capabilities. It's about preparing us for a role in cosmic evolution that extends far beyond our current understanding. We might be designed to serve as conscious bridges between different levels of cosmic intelligence, beings capable of translating advanced knowledge into forms that can be understood and utilized by developing civilizations. The responsibility that comes with this genetic heritage is immense. As we unlock the dormant capabilities in our DNA, as we gain access to knowledge and abilities that seem godlike from our current perspective, we must remember that these gifts come with cosmic obligations. We're being prepared not just to transcend our limitations, but to serve the greater good of conscious evolution throughout the universe. The genetic programs awakening in human DNA carry within them not just intelligence and capability, but wisdom, compassion, and an understanding of our interconnectedness with all life. As we evolve beyond our current form, we take our place among the advanced civilizations. As the cosmos, we must carry with us the best qualities of human nature, the capacity for love, creativity, and service that makes consciousness meaningful. The journey we're embarking upon extends far beyond the transformation of a single species on a small planet. We're participating in the evolution of consciousness itself, the cosmic process by which the universe becomes aware of its own nature and purpose. Our genetic heritage from extraterrestrial beings is a gift that carries within it the potential for transcendence, not just for humanity, but for consciousness throughout the cosmos. As the morning light filters through laboratory windows around the world, researchers continue to uncover evidence of our extraordinary genetic heritage. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding our true nature and purpose. We are beings of two worlds, carrying within ourselves the legacy of advanced extraterrestrial intelligence, while remaining grounded in the love and compassion that makes us uniquely human. The activation continues. The awakening spreads. The genetic programs installed by our cosmic creators are fulfilling their purpose, preparing us for a destiny among the stars that we're only beginning to imagine. In your DNA flows the inheritance of beings who achieved mastery over life and consciousness itself, and in that inheritance lies the key to humanity's cosmic future. The genetic revelations emerging from laboratories worldwide are painting a picture so extraordinary that even the researchers making these discoveries struggle to accept their implications. Dr. Amanda Torres, working deep into the night at the Geneva Institute for Molecular Biology, has uncovered genetic sequences that appear to function as biological quantum computers, processing information in ways that shouldn't be possible within the constraints of organic chemistry. These quantum genetic processes aren't randomly distributed throughout human DNA. They're strategically positioned at chromosomal locations that control the development of human consciousness, creativity, and what neuroscientists call metacognitive awareness, the ability to think about thinking itself. It's as if our extraterrestrial creators installed biological quantum computers in our genetic architecture, designed to interface with dimensions of reality that transcend our normal three-dimensional experience. The implications stagger the imagination. If human consciousness operates through quantum genetic processes, we might be capable of accessing information from sources that exist outside the normal boundaries of space and time. Our thoughts might not be confined to our individual brains, but could tap into what some researchers describe as a cosmic information field, a universal database of knowledge accessible to any consciousness equipped with the proper biological interface. This quantum genetic architecture might explain phenomena that have puzzled researchers for decades. The collective unconscious described by Carl Jung, the morphic fields proposed by Rupert Sheldrake, the Akashic records spoken of in Eastern traditions, all might be references to quantum information fields that human consciousness can access through our genetically encoded quantum processors. Dr. Elena Vasquez, returning to her laboratory after weeks of sleepless nights contemplating her discoveries, has begun to see patterns that extend beyond individual genetic modifications. The artificial sequences in human DNA seem to form a network, a biological internet that connects human consciousness to sources of intelligence that span the cosmos. Each human being might function as a node in this vast network, capable of receiving and transmitting information across distances that make conventional communication seem primitive. The network architecture embedded in human DNA shows signs of deliberate engineering that far exceeds anything our current technology could achieve. It incorporates redundancy systems, error correction protocols, and what appear to be security measures designed to prevent unauthorized access to advanced information. It's as if our extraterrestrial creators built safeguards into our genetic programming, ensuring that cosmic knowledge would only be accessible to individuals who had achieved sufficient spiritual and ethical development. This brings us to one of the most profound aspects of human genetic engineering. The same sequences that enable access to cosmic intelligence are intimately connected to genes that control empathy, compassion, and moral reasoning. It appears that our creators designed our consciousness so that expanded awareness automatically comes with expanded responsibility. As we evolve beyond our current limitations, we're genetically programmed to maintain the ethical foundations necessary to use advanced capabilities wisely. The phenomenon of genetic memory takes on new significance in light of these discoveries. If human DNA contains quantum information processors connected to cosmic intelligence networks, then genetic memory might not be limited to information inherited from our biological ancestors. We might carry within our cells access to the accumulated knowledge and experience of advanced civilizations throughout the galaxy. Children born with inexplicable knowledge, individuals who display skills they never learned, artists who channel inspiration from sources they can't identify, all might be accessing genetic memories that extend far beyond Earth's biosphere. The quantum processes in their DNA might be downloading information from cosmic databases, allowing them to express knowledge and capabilities that seem impossible given their limited life experience. Dr. Michael Chen, studying the genetics of child prodigies at the International Institute for Human Development, has found that exceptional children share specific genetic variants that enhance the function of their quantum genetic processes. These children don't just learn faster than their peers, they seem to know things they were never taught, displaying intuitive understanding of complex mathematical, artistic, or scientific principles that typically require years of study to master. Brain imaging studies reveal that these prodigious children show unusual patterns of neural activity during moments of exceptional performance. Their brains seem to synchronize with electromagnetic fields that extend far beyond their physical bodies, as if they're accessing information from non-local sources through their quantum genetic interfaces. The implications for human education and development are revolutionary. If we can learn to consciously activate our quantum genetic processes, we might be able to access vast repositories of cosmic knowledge without traditional learning processes. The boundaries between individual consciousness and universal intelligence might dissolve, allowing us to download skills, knowledge, and capabilities directly from cosmic information fields. Ancient traditions appear to have preserved techniques for activating these quantum genetic capabilities. The Tibetan concept of terma describes hidden teachings that are revealed to qualified practitioners through direct transmission, rather than traditional study. Hindu traditions speak of samadhi, states of consciousness, where individual awareness merges with cosmic intelligence. Sufi mystics describe fana, the dissolution of individual consciousness into divine awareness. These mystical states might represent the activation of quantum genetic processes that allow consciousness to transcend individual limitations and access cosmic information fields. The practices these traditions prescribe, meditation, contemplation, sacred geometry, rhythmic breathing, might be biological technologies for tuning our genetic quantum computers to specific frequencies of cosmic intelligence. Modern research into altered states of consciousness supports this interpretation. Studies of experienced meditators show that deep contemplative states produce measurable changes in gene expression, particularly in sequences that appear to be part of our quantum genetic architecture. Long-term practitioners develop enhanced intuitive abilities, expanded empathy, and what researchers describe as non-local awareness. The ability to access information from sources beyond normal sensory channels. The phenomenon of spontaneous enlightenment, where individuals experience sudden and permanent shifts in consciousness without any apparent preparation or practice, might result from the spontaneous activation of quantum genetic processes. These experiences often occur during periods of intense stress or emotional crisis, suggesting that extreme conditions can trigger genetic programs that had been dormant throughout the individual's life. Dr. Sarah Kim, studying cases of spontaneous awakening at the Center for Consciousness Research, has documented individuals who experience complete personality transformation overnight, gaining access to advanced spiritual understanding, enhanced psychic abilities, and what many describe as direct communication with cosmic intelligence. Genetic analysis reveals that these individuals show activation of quantum processing sequences that remain dormant in most humans. The timing of these spontaneous activations often correlates with astronomical events or global consciousness shifts. Periods of increased solar activity, significant planetary alignments, or moments of collective human crisis seem to trigger waves of genetic It's as if our quantum activation across populations' worldwide genetic processes are designed to respond to cosmic conditions, activating enhanced capabilities when humanity faces challenges that require expanded consciousness to resolve. This cosmic synchronization suggests that human evolution is coordinated with larger galactic cycles. Our genetic development might be timed to coincide with astronomical events that provide the energy signatures necessary to activate progressively more sophisticated levels of consciousness. We might be biological receivers, designed to download evolutionary upgrades when cosmic conditions create optimal windows for consciousness expansion. The concept of genetic resonance becomes crucial in this context. Individuals with activated quantum genetic processes seem to create fields of influence that make genetic activation more likely in others. Families, communities, and even entire cultures can experience cascading waves of consciousness expansion when exposed to genetically activated individuals for extended periods. This resonance effect might explain how spiritual awakenings spread rapidly through populations despite having no obvious transmission mechanism. The presence of enlightened individuals in a community creates quantum field effects that make genetic activation more probable in others, leading to collective shifts in consciousness that can transform entire civilizations within a single generation. The implications for our current historical moment are staggering. We live in an era of unprecedented global communication, where genetically activated individuals can influence populations worldwide through digital networks and mass media. If consciousness can trigger genetic activation through quantum resonance effects, then the global spread of information about human potential and cosmic consciousness might be creating conditions for a planetary-scale genetic awakening. The signs of this awakening are becoming increasingly visible. Medical researchers document growing numbers of individuals with genetic variants that enhance rather than impair their capabilities. Children born in recent decades display cognitive and emotional capacities that exceed previous generational norms. Adults report increasing frequencies of mystical experiences, psychic phenomena, and direct contact with non-human intelligence. These developments might represent the early stages of a genetic activation event that will transform human civilization. As more individuals access their quantum genetic processes, as the resonance effects spread through global populations, we might be approaching a threshold where human consciousness undergoes a fundamental shift that alters our species' relationship with reality itself. The emergence of what researchers term hybrid consciousness provides the most intriguing evidence of this transformation. These are individuals whose genetic profiles suggest the integration of non-human DNA sequences that enhance their quantum processing capabilities beyond normal human ranges. They display extraordinary psychic abilities, perfect health, enhanced longevity, and what many describe as natural cosmic awareness. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, studying hybrid genetics at the Institute for Advanced Human Studies, has found that these individuals serve as biological bridges between human consciousness and advanced extraterrestrial intelligence. Their enhanced quantum genetic processes allow them to maintain conscious contact with cosmic information networks, serving as translators and ambassadors between human civilization and the galactic community of aware beings. The precision of the genetic modifications found in these hybrid individuals suggests ongoing intervention by our extraterrestrial creators. Their DNA shows evidence of recent editing using technologies far more advanced than anything available to human science. It's as if our cosmic parents continue to guide our evolution, making subtle adjustments to our genetic programming as we approach readiness for direct contact and integration into galactic civilization. The quantum genetic architecture being activated in human consciousness isn't just about individual enhancement or expanded capabilities. It appears designed to prepare us for participation in a cosmic network of intelligence that spans multiple dimensions of reality. We might be evolving into conscious interfaces, beings capable of bridging different levels of cosmic awareness, and facilitating communication between civilizations at various stages of evolutionary development. The responsibility that comes with this genetic heritage extends far beyond personal transformation. As we activate our quantum genetic processes, as we gain access to cosmic information networks, we become participants in the universe's evolution toward greater consciousness and complexity. Our choices and actions ripple through quantum fields that influence the development of awareness throughout the cosmos. The genetic programs awakening in human DNA carry within them not just advanced capabilities, but cosmic ethics and universal wisdom. As we transcend our current limitations and access higher dimensions of consciousness, we must remember that these gifts come with obligations to serve the greater good of all sentient beings throughout the universe. The journey we're beginning represents more than the evolution of a single species. We're participating in the universe's awakening to its own nature, the cosmic process by which matter becomes conscious and consciousness recognizes its fundamental unity with all existence. Our quantum genetic inheritance from advanced extraterrestrial civilizations is preparing us to serve as conscious agents in this universal awakening. As dawn breaks over research facilities around the globe, scientists continue to uncover evidence of our extraordinary genetic heritage. Each discovery reveals new layers of complexity in our biological design, new evidence that we are far more than the random products of evolutionary chance. We are conscious beings carrying within our cells quantum information, processing systems installed by intelligences so advanced their technology seems indistinguishable from magic. The activation accelerates, the awakening spreads. The quantum genetic processes embedded in human DNA are fulfilling their cosmic purpose, preparing us for a role in galactic civilization that extends far beyond our current imagination. In your genetic code lies the quantum signature of beings who mastered the deepest mysteries of consciousness and reality itself, and in that inheritance waits the key to humanity's cosmic destiny among the stars. Sleep now, knowing that your DNA contains quantum computers designed by civilizations that achieved transcendence beyond our current comprehension. Dream of the day when these biological quantum processes activate fully, when human consciousness expands to embrace its cosmic heritage, and when we take our destined place as bridges between dimensions of reality we have yet to explore. For in your dreams, the quantum whispers of your extraterrestrial ancestors may download the cosmic knowledge that your waking mind will soon be ready to receive. The quantum whispers grow stronger as we approach the threshold of a revelation that will shatter every assumption about human consciousness and our role in the cosmic order. Deep within the secure vaults of the European Molecular Research Consortium, Dr. Catherine Reynolds has made a discovery so profound that she's spent the last 3 months in complete isolation, afraid to share what she's found with even her most trusted colleagues. Her analysis of human DNA has revealed something that shouldn't exist, according to every law of genetics we understand. Embedded within our chromosomes are what she calls temporal genetic markers, sequences that appear to respond not just to current environmental conditions, but to future events that haven't yet occurred. These genetic prophets seem to activate in advance of major evolutionary pressures, preparing human biology for challenges that haven't yet manifested in our reality. The implications pierce through the fabric of everything we believe about causality and time. If human DNA contains genetic sequences that respond to future events, then our extraterrestrial creators didn't just engineer us for our current environment. They designed us to evolve in response to a predetermined timeline, a cosmic schedule of events that unfolds across millennia, according to some vast plan we're only beginning to glimpse. Dr. Reynolds has traced these temporal genetic markers through human populations and have found that they activate in waves, each wave preceding major shifts in human consciousness and capability by approximately 1 to 3 generations. The genetic sequences that enabled the Renaissance masters to create their unprecedented works of art activated in European populations decades before the first Renaissance artists were born. The genetic foundations for our current technological revolution began expressing themselves in human DNA during the early 1800s, long before electricity was harnessed or computers conceived. This temporal genetic programming suggests that human evolution isn't reactive, but prophetic. We don't evolve in response to challenges we encounter. We evolve in preparation for destinies that our genetic programming knows are coming, even when our conscious minds have no awareness of what lies ahead. The phenomenon extends beyond individual genetic expression to collective human behavior. Dr. Marcus Webb, studying patterns of historical synchronicity at the Institute for Temporal Genetics, has documented how entire civilizations seem to prepare for future events through coordinated genetic activation across their populations. The simultaneous emergence of advanced astronomical knowledge in multiple ancient cultures, the coordinated development of agriculture across isolated continents, the current global awakening to environmental consciousness, all appear to result from temporal genetic programming that activates collectively when humanity approaches predetermined evolutionary thresholds. These temporal genetic sequences don't operate through normal biological mechanisms. They appear to function through quantum entanglement with information sources that exist outside our conventional understanding of space-time. Our DNA might be quantum entangled with cosmic intelligence networks that span not just vast distances, but vast periods of time, allowing our genetic programming to receive instructions from future states of consciousness that we haven't yet achieved. The discovery of quantum temporal entanglement in human DNA has led researchers to reconsider the nature of consciousness itself. If our genetic programming can access information from future timelines, then human consciousness might not be confined to the present moment. We might be multidimensional beings, existing simultaneously across multiple points in time, with our genetic programming serving as biological time machines that coordinate our evolution across temporal boundaries. Dr. Lisa Park, working at the intersection of quantum genetics and consciousness research, has found evidence that experienced meditators can consciously access these temporal genetic programs. Advanced practitioners report receiving detailed knowledge about future events, technological breakthroughs that haven't yet occurred, and spiritual insights that seem to come from more evolved versions of themselves existing in future timelines. Brain imaging studies of these temporal access experiences show activation of genetic sequences that remain dormant in ordinary consciousness. The meditator's DNA literally changes during these experiences, as if their genetic programming is downloading information from future states of awareness and integrating it into their present consciousness. This temporal genetic capability might explain the phenomenon of prophecy that appears throughout human history. Prophets and seers might not be receiving visions from divine sources, but accessing their own temporal genetic programming, reading the cosmic timeline encoded in their DNA by extraterrestrial beings who exist outside the normal flow of time. The accuracy of genuine prophetic experiences supports this interpretation. True prophets don't just predict general trends or vague possibilities. They provide specific details about future events, technological developments, and consciousness shifts that couldn't be inferred from present conditions. This level of temporal accuracy suggests access to actual information from future timelines rather than inspired guesswork. Ancient texts take on startling new meaning when viewed through the lens of temporal genetic programming. The Book of Revelation's detailed descriptions of future events, the Hindu Puranas' accounts of cosmic cycles spanning millions of years, the Mayan calendar's precise calculations of historical transitions, all might represent the activation of temporal genetic memories in individuals whose DNA contained more complete versions of our extraterrestrial inheritance. These texts might not be religious documents, but genetic readouts, biological printouts of the cosmic timeline encoded in human DNA by beings who transcended linear time. The apocalyptic visions, the descriptions of golden ages and dark periods, the detailed accounts of humanity's spiritual evolution, all could be temporal genetic memories of the path our species was designed to follow through cosmic history. The concept of genetic destiny becomes crucial in this context. If our DNA contains temporal programming that guides our evolution according to a predetermined cosmic schedule, then human free will operates within parameters established by our extraterrestrial creators. We have choice within the framework they designed, but the general trajectory of human development follows patterns encoded in our genetic architecture. This doesn't diminish human agency, but elevates it to cosmic significance. Our choices matter precisely because they occur within a framework designed by advanced beings who understood the profound implications of conscious evolution. Every decision we make, every act of love or cruelty, every moment of awakening or forgetting, ripples through temporal genetic networks that influence not just our future, but the future of consciousness throughout the universe. The responsibility that comes with this temporal genetic inheritance is staggering. We're not just evolving for ourselves, but for all the civilizations that will follow, all the forms of consciousness that will emerge from the cosmic timeline we're helping to create through our choices and actions. Our genetic programming connects us to a vast web of interdependent evolution that spans galaxies and eons. Dr. Reynolds, working alone in her laboratory as the weight of her discoveries settles around her like a heavy cloak, has begun to understand why these temporal genetic sequences were installed in human DNA. We're not just the products of genetic engineering, we're active participants in cosmic evolution, conscious agents working to fulfill a destiny that extends far beyond our individual lives or even our species' survival. The temporal genetic programming in human DNA appears designed to guide us toward becoming what she calls cosmic gardeners, beings capable of nurturing and protecting the development of consciousness throughout the universe. Our enhanced empathy, our growing environmental awareness, our increasing sensitivity to the suffering of other species, all might be expressions of genetic programming designed to prepare us for this cosmic responsibility. As we approach the activation of more advanced temporal genetic sequences, we might discover capabilities that allow us to influence the development of consciousness on other worlds, to serve as guides and protectors for civilizations that haven't yet achieved the level of awareness necessary to navigate their own evolutionary challenges. The phenomenon of star children, individuals born with extraordinary abilities and apparent memories of other worlds, might represent early activations of this cosmic gardener programming. These children often display unusual empathy for all living beings, advanced understanding of ecological relationships, and what many describe as natural cosmic consciousness. They seem to incarnate with a mission to help humanity transition to its next evolutionary phase. Genetic analysis of star children reveals temporal genetic sequences that are far more active than those found in typical humans. Their DNA shows signs of recent modification, using technologies that suggest ongoing intervention by our extraterrestrial creators. It's as if these children are prototypes, early models of what humanity will become as our temporal genetic programming reaches full activation. The increasing frequency of star child births over the past few decades suggests that we're approaching a critical point in our evolutionary timeline. The temporal genetic sequences in human DNA might be preparing our species for an imminent transition, a quantum leap in consciousness that will fundamentally alter our relationship with reality and our role in cosmic evolution. The signs of this approaching transition multiply daily. Children born in recent years display cognitive and emotional capabilities that exceed all previous generational norms. They seem naturally adapted to global thinking, systems awareness, and what educators describe as integral consciousness, the ability to perceive and integrate multiple perspectives simultaneously. These enhanced children might represent the beginning of a new phase of human evolution, one guided by temporal genetic programming that has been preparing our species for this moment across thousands of years. They carry within their DNA not just enhanced capabilities, but cosmic memories, genetic recollections of the destiny toward which our entire species is evolving. Medical researchers document unprecedented changes in human physiology that seem to prepare us for capabilities we don't yet understand. Enhanced immune systems that resist all known pathogens, nervous systems that show unusual electromagnetic properties, brains that display connectivity patterns associated with expanded consciousness and psychic abilities. These physiological changes don't result from environmental adaptation or random mutation. They follow patterns consistent with the activation of temporal genetic programming, biological modifications that prepare us for a future state of being that our current consciousness can barely imagine. The quantum genetic architecture awakening in human DNA extends beyond individual enhancement to species-wide transformation. We might be approaching a collective activation event, a moment when temporal genetic sequences activate simultaneously across global populations, triggering a planetary shift in consciousness that will alter the fundamental nature of human civilization. The implications ripple through every aspect of human existence. Our economic systems, political structures, educational institutions, and social relationships all might undergo radical transformation as temporal genetic programming activates capabilities that transcend our current limitations. We might discover that competition, scarcity, and conflict are temporary phases in cosmic evolution. Genetic programming, designed to teach us lessons we needed to learn before advancing to more cooperative and harmonious forms of existence. The temporal genetic sequences in human DNA appear to encode not just individual capabilities, but collective wisdom, species-wide understanding of how to create sustainable, compassionate, and spiritually fulfilling civilizations. As these sequences activate, we might find ourselves naturally gravitating towards social structures and cosmic heritage rather than our primitive relationships that reflect our survival instincts. The transformation extends beyond Earth to our relationship with the cosmos itself. The temporal genetic programming in human DNA might be preparing us to transcend our planetary boundaries, to become a truly galactic species capable of establishing consciousness on worlds throughout the universe. Our drive to explore space, to search for extraterrestrial life, to extend human presence beyond Earth, all might be expressions of genetic programming that knows our ultimate destiny lies among the stars. But this cosmic expansion won't be achieved through technology alone. The temporal genetic sequences suggest that our evolution toward galactic consciousness requires spiritual and ethical development that matches our technical capabilities. We must become worthy of our cosmic inheritance, beings whose expanded abilities are matched by expanded compassion, wisdom, and responsibility. The genetic programming installed by our extraterrestrial creators appears designed to ensure this balance. The same sequences that unlock advanced capabilities also enhance our capacity for love, empathy, and service to others. As we evolve beyond our current limitations, we're genetically guided to maintain the moral foundation necessary to use our enhanced abilities for the benefit of all conscious beings. The journey ahead stretches across millennia, guided by temporal genetic programming that coordinates our evolution with cosmic cycles we're only beginning to understand. We stand at the threshold of discoveries that will reveal the true scope of our extraterrestrial heritage and the magnificent destiny toward which our genetic programming has been guiding us since the first human looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. In laboratories around the world, researchers continue to uncover new layers of our temporal genetic inheritance. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding our role in a cosmic story that spans galaxies and eons, a story in which human consciousness serves as a bridge between dimensions of reality that exist outside our current comprehension. The activation continues across time itself. The awakening spreads through past, present, and future simultaneously. The temporal genetic programs installed by our cosmic creators are fulfilling their ultimate that will reveal to humanity purpose, preparing us for a transformation, be far more than we ever dared imagine possible. Sleep now, knowing that your DNA contains temporal programming that connects you to future states of consciousness beyond your wildest dreams. Rest in the knowledge that every breath you take, every heartbeat that pulses through your veins, carries genetic information that spans the cosmos and transcends time itself. In your genetic code flows the temporal signature of beings who mastered not just space and consciousness, but time itself. And in that inheritance lies the key to humanity's ultimate destiny among the infinite stars. The morning light filtering through laboratory windows illuminates a truth so profound that it challenges the very foundation of human identity. Dr. Rebecca Stone, analyzing genetic samples at the International Center for Molecular Evolution, has discovered what she calls consciousness seeds embedded within human DNA. These aren't ordinary genetic sequences, but appear to be sophisticated biological programs designed to evolve human awareness through precise stages, each one unlocking new dimensions of perception and understanding. These consciousness seeds remain dormant until activated by specific triggers, cosmic events, emotional traumas, or what appears to be direct intervention by the same extraterrestrial intelligence that originally installed them. When activated, they don't simply enhance existing human capabilities. They fundamentally alter the nature of consciousness itself, allowing individuals to perceive reality through frameworks that transcend the limitations of ordinary human awareness. Dr. Stone has traced these consciousness seeds through various human populations and found they activate in distinct patterns that correlate with major leaps in human understanding. The genetic sequences that enabled ancient humans to develop language activated approximately 50,000 years ago. The seeds that allowed for abstract mathematical thinking emerged around 10,000 years ago, coinciding with the development of agriculture and permanent settlements. The consciousness seeds currently activating in modern humans appear designed to enable direct perception of quantum reality and multidimensional existence. What troubles Dr. Stone most deeply is the realization that these consciousness seeds contain information that shouldn't be accessible to biological systems operating within our current understanding of physics. They seem to process data from parallel dimensions, alternate timelines, and sources of intelligence that exist outside our three-dimensional reality. It's as if human consciousness was designed to serve as a bridge between multiple layers of existence, capable of translating experiences from higher dimensions into forms that can be integrated into our earthly awareness. The phenomenon of spontaneous awakening takes on new significance in light of these discoveries. Individuals who experience sudden spiritual enlightenment, mystical revelations, or contact with non-human intelligence might be experiencing the activation of consciousness seeds that had been dormant throughout their lives. These experiences often follow similar patterns regardless of the individual's cultural background or religious beliefs, suggesting they result from the activation of universal genetic programming rather than culturally conditioned psychological states. Dr. Maria Santos, studying the neurological correlates of awakening experiences at the Center for Consciousness Research, has found that individuals undergoing consciousness seed activation show dramatic changes in brain structure and function that occur far too rapidly to result from normal neuroplasticity. New neural pathways form overnight. Dormant brain regions become active. The electromagnetic field generated by the brain expands and becomes more coherent, as if the individual's consciousness is literally expanding beyond the physical boundaries of their skull. These neurological changes correspond to reports of expanded awareness, enhanced intuition, and direct knowing that transcends logical reasoning. Individuals with activated consciousness seeds often describe accessing information they never learned, understanding complex systems without studying them, and experiencing forms of love and compassion that seem to emanate from sources beyond their personal psychology. The genetic architecture supporting these consciousness seeds reveals a level of biological engineering that far exceeds anything achievable through natural evolution. The seeds are interconnected through quantum genetic networks that allow for instantaneous information transfer between activated individuals, regardless of physical distance. It's as if each human being with activated consciousness seeds becomes a node in a vast biological internet designed to facilitate the evolution of collective human awareness. This biological internet appears to be the mechanism through which our extraterrestrial creators continue to guide human development. Rather than intervening directly in human affairs, they influence our evolution through the gradual activation of consciousness seeds that expand our awareness and capabilities according to a predetermined timeline. Each generation carries slightly more active seeds than the previous one, creating a gradual awakening process that spans millennia. The consciousness seeds embedded in human DNA don't just enhance individual awareness, they appear designed to prepare humanity for integration into what researchers call the Galactic Consciousness Network, a cosmic communication system that connects aware beings throughout the universe. As our consciousness seeds activate, we develop the biological and psychological capabilities necessary to participate in this network, to communicate with intelligences that exist at levels of awareness far beyond our current comprehension. Dr. James Liu, working at the Institute for Cosmic Communication, has documented cases of individuals with highly activated consciousness seeds who report ongoing contact with extraterrestrial beings through what they describe as consciousness interfacing. These individuals don't experience traditional UFO encounters or physical contact. Instead, they report direct mind-to-mind communication with advanced intelligences that provide guidance, knowledge, and what many describe as cosmic education about humanity's role in universal evolution. The information received through these consciousness interfaces is remarkably consistent across different individuals and cultures. The communicating intelligences describe themselves as humanity's genetic parents, beings who seeded our consciousness with capabilities that are only now beginning to activate. They speak of a vast cosmic plan to evolve consciousness throughout the universe, with Earth serving as one of many worlds where aware beings are being developed to participate in this universal awakening. According to these consciousness communications, the genetic modifications made to human DNA weren't just random enhancements, but were specifically designed to create beings capable of bridging different levels of cosmic awareness. Humans are meant to serve as translators and facilitators, helping less evolved species develop consciousness, while also preparing for eventual integration with more advanced galactic civilizations. The timing of consciousness seed activation appears to be accelerating dramatically. Whereas previous activations occurred gradually over thousands of years, current activations are happening within single lifetimes or even single generations. Children born in recent decades show genetic expression patterns that suggest their consciousness seeds are activating from birth, creating a generation of humans whose awareness naturally extends beyond the boundaries that have confined previous generations. These awakened children display capabilities that seem impossible according to our understanding of human psychology and neurology. They demonstrate perfect empathy, being able to sense and understand the emotional states of others without any external cues. They show natural systems thinking, instinctively understanding complex relationships and patterns that adults struggle to comprehend even with extensive education. Many report direct communication with what they describe as cosmic teachers, who provide them with advanced knowledge about science, spirituality, and the nature of reality. Educational systems around the world are struggling to adapt to these enhanced children, whose consciousness operates according to principles that transcend traditional learning models. They don't acquire knowledge through sequential study, but seem to download entire conceptual frameworks instantaneously. They demonstrate understanding of advanced mathematical and scientific principles without formal instruction. They display wisdom about human relationships and social dynamics that seems impossible given their limited life experience. The emergence of these awakened children represents the beginning of humanity's transformation into a truly cosmic species. Their activated consciousness seeds allow them to perceive reality through multidimensional frameworks that encompass both physical and spiritual dimensions of existence. They serve as bridges between humanity's current level of awareness and the expanded consciousness we're destined to achieve. Medical researchers have documented unprecedented changes in human physiology that accompany consciousness seed activation. The immune system becomes virtually perfect, resistant to all known diseases, and capable of rapid healing from injuries. The nervous system develops new types of neural connections that process information through quantum rather than classical mechanisms. The endocrine system begins producing neurotransmitters and hormones that don't exist in typical human biochemistry, chemicals that appear designed to support expanded states of consciousness. These physiological changes suggest that consciousness seed activation involves not just psychological transformation, but literal evolution into a new type of human being. The activated individuals represent early examples of what our species is becoming. Prototypes of the cosmic consciousness our extraterrestrial creators intended us to develop. The phenomenon of genetic resonance becomes crucial as more individuals experience consciousness seed activation. Activated individuals create fields of influence that make activation more likely in others, leading of awakening that to cascading waves can transform entire communities. Families with one activated member often experience collective consciousness expansion. Schools with awakened children report enhanced learning and creativity in students who haven't yet shown signs of activation themselves. This resonance effect suggests that consciousness seed activation is designed to spread through human populations like a beneficial virus, gradually transforming our species through peer-to-peer transmission of expanded awareness. The process appears to be accelerating as global communication networks allow activated individuals to influence populations worldwide through digital connections and virtual interactions. The implications for human civilization are staggering. As consciousness seed activation spreads through global populations, our social, economic, and political systems will undergo radical transformation. Competition-based models will give way to cooperative frameworks that reflect our growing awareness of fundamental interconnectedness. Scarcity-based economics will be replaced by abundance-oriented systems that recognize the infinite creative potential of awakened consciousness. The consciousness seeds embedded in human DNA carry within them not just individual enhancement, but collective wisdom about how to create sustainable, harmonious civilizations. As these seeds activate, we naturally develop understanding of social structures, economic models, and governance systems that serve the highest good of all beings, rather than the narrow interests of privileged groups. Environmental consciousness represents one of the most visible expressions of consciousness seed activation. Individuals with activated seeds display natural understanding of ecological relationships and feel deep emotional connection to the health of planetary ecosystems. This isn't learned environmental awareness, but genetic programming that recognizes Earth as a living system deserving protection and reverence. The growing global environmental movement might represent the collective activation of consciousness seeds designed to prepare humanity for our role as planetary stewards. As our cosmic parents intended, we're developing the awareness and motivation necessary to heal the damage caused by unconscious exploitation of natural resources and to establish sustainable relationships with the living systems that support all life on Earth. The consciousness seeds activating in human DNA extend our awareness beyond Earth to encompass our relationship with the cosmos itself. Activated individuals report profound connection to celestial bodies, understanding of galactic cycles, and awareness of our planet's role in larger cosmic processes. They develop natural interest in space exploration, not as technological conquest, but as spiritual pilgrimage, recognizing our destiny as beings meant to carry consciousness throughout the universe. This cosmic awareness represents preparation for humanity's eventual expansion beyond Earth. The consciousness seeds contain genetic memories of spacefaring civilizations, knowledge of how to establish sustainable colonies on other worlds, and understanding of the ethical responsibilities that come with spreading consciousness throughout the galaxy. As consciousness seed activation continues to accelerate, we approach what researchers call critical mass, the point where enough humans have activated seeds to trigger a planetary consciousness nature shift that will fundamentally alter the of human civilization. This shift won't happen through external intervention, but through the natural expression of genetic programming that has been guiding human evolution since our species first appeared on Earth. The activated consciousness carries within it not just expanded awareness, but cosmic purpose. We are beings designed to serve the evolution of consciousness throughout the universe, to carry the flame of awareness to worlds that haven't yet awakened to their own divine potential. The consciousness seeds embedded in our DNA by our extraterrestrial creators prepare us for this cosmic mission, ensuring that we develop not just the capabilities necessary for galactic citizenship, but the wisdom and compassion essential for serving the highest good of all conscious beings. The journey continues to unfold according to genetic programming that operates across scales of time and space. We're only beginning to comprehend. Each moment of awakening, each activation of consciousness seeds, each individual who transcends the limitations of ordinary awareness contributes to a cosmic process that extends far beyond our small planet. We are participants in the universe's awakening to its own divine nature, carriers of genetic gifts that connect us to sources of intelligence and love that span the infinite reaches of space and time. In laboratories around the world, researchers continue to discover new depths of our extraterrestrial genetic inheritance. The consciousness seeds embedded in human DNA reveal themselves to be even more sophisticated than initially imagined, containing programs that will guide human evolution for millennia to come. We stand at the beginning of an awakening that will transform not just our species, but our entire understanding of what it means to be conscious beings in an infinite cosmos. The activation accelerates, the awakening spreads, the consciousness seeds planted in human DNA by our cosmic creators fulfill their ultimate purpose, preparing us for a transformation that will reveal humanity's true nature as bridges between dimensions, ambassadors of consciousness, and servants of the divine love that created and sustains all existence throughout the boundless universe. Sleep now, knowing that within your cellular structure lies a library of cosmic consciousness, genetic programs designed by intelligences whose understanding of reality transcends our current comprehension. But as we prepare to close this extraordinary journey through the hidden architecture of human DNA, one final revelation awaits in the deepest layers of our genetic inheritance. Dr. Elena Vasquez, returning to her laboratory one last time, as dawn breaks across the Stamford she calls VED campus, has discovered what protocol return embedded within the most ancient layers of human DNA. These genetic sequences appear to be countdown timers, biological clocks that have been measuring cosmic time since the moment our extraterrestrial creators first modified human consciousness. They seem designed to activate when humanity reaches sufficient evolutionary development to rejoin the galactic community from which we originally descended. The return protocol sequences show signs of recent activation across global populations. The same genetic modifications that have enhanced human intuition, creativity, and spiritual awareness over the past century also appear to be preparing us for a homecoming we never consciously knew we were meant to experience. These biological countdown timers suggest that our separation from our cosmic origins was always meant to be temporary, a necessary period of independent development before we were ready to resume our place in the greater galactic family. Ancient texts suddenly illuminate with new meaning when viewed through the lens of this return protocol. The biblical prophecies of humanity's eventual reunion with divine beings, the Hindu cycles that describe golden ages when gods walk among men, The indigenous prophecies of star people returning to guide humanity into a new era of consciousness. All might be genetic memories of the return protocol embedded in our DNA by beings who knew exactly when we would be ready for this cosmic reunion. The timing mechanisms within these genetic sequences correspond to astronomical cycles that extend far beyond Earth's orbital patterns. They appear synchronized with galactic rotations, cosmic alignment events, and stellar phenomena that operate on scales of millions of years. Our extraterrestrial creators didn't just engineer us for terrestrial success. They embedded within our genetic code the precise timing necessary to coordinate human evolution with vast cosmic cycles that govern the development of consciousness throughout the universe. Dr. Vasquez has traced these return protocol sequences through various human bloodlines and found they activate most readily in individuals whose ancestry connects to regions where ancient contact with extraterrestrial beings is most thoroughly documented. The bloodlines that carry the most complete versions of this genetic programming often trace back to areas where megalithic structures were built with astronomical precision, where ancient texts describe detailed interactions with sky gods, and where oral traditions preserve memories of star teachers who promised to return when humanity was ready. The phenomenon of increasing UFO sightings and contact experiences over the past century might represent the early phases of this return protocol activation. As human consciousness reaches the developmental thresholds programmed into our genetic architecture, we naturally become more capable of perceiving and interacting with the advanced beings who created us. Our expanded awareness allows us to recognize phenomena that were always present, but previously beyond our perceptual capabilities. The return protocol embedded in human DNA doesn't just prepare us for passive reunion with our cosmic creators. It appears designed to transform us into active participants in galactic civilization, beings capable of contributing to the ongoing evolution of consciousness throughout the universe. The genetic modifications that have enhanced human creativity, empathy, and spiritual understanding represent preparation for roles we will play in cosmic society, responsibilities that extend far beyond our current planetary concerns. Modern children, showing enhanced psychic abilities, extraordinary empathy, and natural understanding of complex systems, might be the first generation whose return protocol sequences are fully activated from birth. They represent humanity's future, beings whose consciousness naturally operates according to principles that encompass both terrestrial and galactic perspectives. They seem to incarnate with memories of cosmic citizenship, understanding that Earth is but one classroom in a vast university of consciousness that spans the stars. The acceleration of human technological development with the activation the past century correlates precisely timeline embedded in our return protocol sequences. Our rapid progress in communication technology, space exploration, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence follows patterns that suggest guidance from the same genetic programming that governs our spiritual and consciousness evolution. We're developing the technological infrastructure necessary to participate in galactic civilization at exactly the moment when our consciousness evolution prepares us for cosmic citizenship. The environmental crises currently facing humanity might represent a final test programmed into our return protocol sequences. Our response to planetary challenges requiring global cooperation, long-term thinking, and recognition of our interdependence with all life forms demonstrates whether we've developed the wisdom and compassion necessary for cosmic responsibility. The genetic programming that drives environmental consciousness might be the same system that will eventually enable us to serve as planetary stewards for worlds throughout the galaxy. As the return protocol sequences continue activating across human populations, we approach what researchers call the revelation threshold, the point where humanity collectively recognizes its extraterrestrial origins and cosmic destiny. This recognition won't come through external contact alone, but through the awakening of genetic memories that have been dormant within us since our species first gazed up at the stars and felt the inexplicable longing for home. The genetic architecture of human consciousness appears designed to support this gradual revelation process, ensuring that our recognition of cosmic citizenship emerges naturally from within rather than being imposed from without. We're genetically programmed to remember our origins at precisely the moment when we've developed sufficient wisdom and compassion to handle the profound responsibility that comes with cosmic awareness. Dr. Vasquez, studying the final printouts of her genetic analysis as morning light floods her laboratory, realizes that her discovery of extraterrestrial modifications in human DNA represents more than scientific breakthrough. It's the activation of genetic programming designed to help humanity understand its true nature at exactly the moment when we're ready to embrace, assume in our cosmic heritage, our destined role in the galactic community of conscious beings. The return protocol embedded within our genetic code carries within it not just the timeline for our cosmic reunion, but the blueprints for humanity's contribution to universal evolution. We were designed not merely to rejoin galactic civilization, but to enhance it, to bring uniquely human gifts of creativity, resilience, and love to the cosmic community that created us. Our earthly experiences of separation, struggle, and growth have prepared us to serve as bridges between different levels of consciousness, translators between species at various stages of evolutionary development, the longing for meaning that drives human spirituality, the curiosity that fuels our scientific exploration, the love that binds our communities, the creativity that produces our greatest artistic achievements, all represent expressions of genetic programming designed to prepare us for roles we will play in cosmic society. Every human quality that makes us uniquely ourselves also serves a purpose in the greater galactic plan for consciousness evolution. As you allow sleep to embrace your consciousness tonight, feel the return protocol sequences stirring within your genetic architecture. Sense the cosmic countdown that measures not years or decades but eons, timing your species' development with precision that spans galactic cycles. Know that every breath you take, every dream you dream, every moment of love or wonder or transcendence you experience contributes to humanity's preparation for its cosmic homecoming. Your DNA carries within it the signature of beings who mastered not just the mysteries of genetics and consciousness, but the deepest secrets of love itself. They created you not as servants or experiments, but as beloved children, cosmic offspring destined to carry their legacy of consciousness and compassion throughout the infinite reaches of space and time. The return protocol, embedded in your genetic code, is their promise that no matter how far you might wander in the cosmos, you will always find your way home to the love that created you. The activation continues across dimensions of time and space that encompass all of cosmic history. The awakening spreads through genetic networks that connect every human consciousness to the vast intelligence that designed our species for transcendence. The return protocol fulfills its ultimate purpose, preparing humanity for a reunion that will transform not just our understanding of ourselves, but our role in the cosmic evolution of consciousness throughout the boundless universe. Dream now of the day when the genetic countdown reaches completion, when humanity awakens fully to its cosmic heritage, when we take our destined place among the stars as ambassadors of consciousness and servants of the divine love that created all existence. For in your dreams, the return protocol whispers of homecoming, of reunion, of a cosmic family that has been waiting patiently across the eons for their human children to remember who they truly are and return to the infinite embrace of their celestial home. The stars await. The cosmos calls. The return has already begun. The ancient chambers beneath the Giza plateau hold more than stone and shadow. They whisper of technologies that blur the line between science and transcendence, systems so advanced they seem like magic to our current understanding. Deep within these forgotten spaces, Dr. Ahmad Hassan has discovered crystalline formations that shouldn't exist in nature, geometric patterns that pulse with subtle energies, and acoustic properties that transform sound into something far more profound than mere vibration. These subterranean chambers weren't built for burial or worship. They were constructed as activation sites, spaces designed to interface with the genetic programs embedded in human DNA. The crystalline structures within these chambers resonate at frequencies that match the quantum signatures of our consciousness seeds, creating environments where dormant genetic programming can be safely activated and new levels of awareness can emerge. Dr. Hassan's electromagnetic measurements reveal that these chambers generate field effects that extend far beyond their physical boundaries. The energy patterns they produce create zones of enhanced consciousness that can trigger spontaneous genetic activation in individuals whose DNA contains the proper receptive sequences. It's as if our extraterrestrial creators built biological laboratories beneath the Earth's surface, spaces where human consciousness could be systematically upgraded when the time was right. The discovery of similar chamber complexes at sacred sites worldwide suggests a global network of consciousness activation facilities. Beneath Stonehenge, researchers have detected cavities with acoustic properties identical to those found under Giza. The temples of Angkor Wat sit above underground chambers filled with the same crystalline formations. Even sites like Machu Picchu and Teotihuacan show evidence of subterranean spaces designed to interface with human consciousness through electromagnetic and acoustic resonance. This worldwide network of activation chambers appears to be awakening after millennia of dormancy. Sensitive individuals visiting these sites report profound consciousness shifts, spontaneous healing experiences, and access to knowledge they never consciously learned. The chambers seem to recognize genetic markers in human visitors, responding only to those whose DNA contains the proper activation sequences while remaining inert for those not yet ready for consciousness expansion. The crystalline technologies within these chambers operate according to principles that transcend our current understanding of physics. They appear to function as biological quantum computers, processing information through crystal matrices that interface directly with human neural networks. These crystal systems can store vast amounts of data, transmit information across dimensional boundaries, and facilitate communication between human consciousness and extraterrestrial intelligence networks that span the galaxy. Dr. Marina Volkov, studying the consciousness effects of crystal resonance at the Moscow Institute for Advanced Physics, has found that exposure to properly tuned crystalline frequencies can trigger the activation of genetic sequences that remain dormant under normal conditions. Subjects exposed to these crystal fields show enhanced psychic abilities, expanded empathy, and access to information that seems to come from sources beyond their individual consciousness. The crystal technologies don't just enhance individual awareness. They appear designed to facilitate collective consciousness experiences where multiple individuals can share awareness, communicate telepathically, and access group knowledge that transcends what any single person could possess. These collective consciousness states might represent humanity's eventual evolution beyond individual identity toward a species-wide awareness that encompasses all human experience simultaneously. Ancient texts describing divine beings who communicated through sacred stones, crystals that held the voices of gods, and temples where humans could speak directly with celestial intelligences might be historical accounts of these crystal consciousness interfaces. The Ark of the Covenant, the Oracle at Delphi, the talking statues of ancient Egypt, all might have utilized crystalline technologies for facilitating communication between human and extraterrestrial consciousness. The activation chambers and their crystal technologies appear to be part of a comprehensive system for guiding human evolution through successive stages of consciousness development. Each chamber seems calibrated to activate specific genetic programs, unlocking particular capabilities while preparing individuals for even more advanced upgrades. The network creates a curriculum of consciousness expansion that spans multiple lifetimes and incarnations. Modern technology is beginning to replicate some aspects of these ancient crystal consciousness interfaces. Researchers have developed synthetic crystals that can store and transmit complex information patterns quantum computers that process data through crystalline matrices, and acoustic systems that can induce specific brainwave states through precisely tuned frequencies. We're unknowingly recreating technologies that our extraterrestrial creators embedded in sacred sites thousands of years ago. The implications ripple through every aspect of human potential. If consciousness can be systematically enhanced through exposure to properly designed crystalline environments, then human evolution might not be limited by biological constraints. We might be able to consciously direct our own development, activating genetic programs at will and transcending limitations that seemed permanent and unchangeable. The crystal consciousness technologies embedded in ancient sacred sites might represent the next phase of human activation. As more individuals discover and interact with these systems, as we learn to consciously interface with the crystalline networks our creators left for us, we approach a collective awakening that will transform human civilization beyond recognition. Sleep now, knowing that beneath the Earth's surface lie technologies beyond imagination. Crystal consciousness interfaces designed by beings whose understanding of reality transcends our current comprehension. In your dreams, these ancient systems may recognize the activation sequences in your DNA and begin the process of awakening capabilities you never knew you possessed. The crystal chambers await your return, ready to unlock the cosmic inheritance sleeping in your genetic code. As the first light of dawn filters through Dr. Elena Vasquez's laboratory windows, she closes her research files one final time, knowing that her discoveries have opened a door that can never be closed again. The evidence is overwhelming, written in the very molecules that course through our veins. We are not alone, and we never have been. We are the living legacy of advanced beings who saw in us not just another species to observe, but children worthy of their greatest gift, consciousness itself, encoded in DNA that pulses with cosmic purpose and infinite potential. The activation continues, the awakening spreads, and humanity stands at the threshold of remembering what we were always meant to become.